And I want a view on all sides on this particular issue. So let's get right to it. Here with me in Los Angeles is progressive radio host and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and NRA TV contributor and former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. All right, Leslie, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, the question for me right now is, if McCabe is gone, and if McCabe seems to have contradicted what Jim Comey said under oath, saying that he leaked with the permission of Jim Comey, do you think these two are going to be at odds with each other?
I think they will. And I just want to be clear that there are many on the left like myself that don't have a problem, by the way, with the firing. We have a problem with what's happened subsequent to that. Even the FBI said, stop politicizing this. The president's very vindictive-like tweet, which I think is beneath the office of the presidency. And, of course, the president's attorney then saying, hey, we got to get rid of this, fire Mueller, get rid of the investigation. I'm speaking on behalf of the president. Oops, no, I'm not. And you know, as a judge, attorneys do speak on behalf of their clients.
But you know what? I don't know that really makes any difference in terms of his being gone. You know, what they're saying. I think he said, you know, that he was targeted. His family's life was ruined for the last year because of the president. But Dan Bongino, let me go to you. What do you say to what Leslie just said?
Well, Leslie, I disagree. I think the world of you, but this is nonsense, Leslie. Donald Trump and his family have been under relentless assault by the hard left and their political allies. They were spied on. They've been under investigation for a crime. Leslie, you can't produce a scintilla of evidence even happened. And we're angry at him for some tweets that now finally he takes some kind of a victory lap because he's getting justice. I think it's a little absurd. And one more point on this, Leslie. You know, although not you specifically, a lot of the liberal blue checkmark brigade on social media, they want Donald Trump fired tomorrow. They want him impeached, which is incredible because they have no evidence to impeach him on any high crime or misdemeanor. But yet, with tons of evidence that McCabe was guilty of malfeasance and misfeasance, all of a sudden they're all upset about the firing. I don't get it. What is it? Do we fire people for evidence or not?
Dan, what do you think took so long? And do you think Strzok and Page are next?
Yeah, well, from what I'm hearing, I think what took so long is they're afraid. They're afraid of what Strzok, Page, and McCabe are going to say when they're unleashed from the bureaucratic chains of the federal government. I think that's what took so long, to be quite candid.
Well, what do you think? Do you think that it's inevitable?
I think it was regarding McCabe timing. I mean, you had Mueller do exactly what the president said he didn't want him to do, subpoena records regarding the personal business of the Trump and the Trump family dealings. And that's where part of the problem comes for me on the left, and not just for those on the left, those that have, I do trust the AG's office, but when it has the propriety that the president is, you know, picking up the phone and saying, hey, you need to do this. And then, of course, the timing right before the retirement, which is sort of like really sticking it to him.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're a member of the FBI, you deserve to get it stuck to you.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have been now. It could have been earlier.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I hear from people in the FBI. I spoke to several of them today. What they're saying is that this guy McCabe was an arrogant guy. He didn't have a lot of friends. He drove his Porsche to work. And, you know, he was part of the triumvirate, you know, that right there on the 7th floor. And he thought he was going to control both a primary as well as a presidential election and impact it. Dan?
Yeah, Leslie, this is what I find interesting. You know, you and I are in the private sector. We're in the content production business. If nobody listened to our stuff, you and I would get fired. We'd be out of business because we weren't producing. Andy McCabe was the #2 for 3 of the most enormous debacles in FBI history. Screwed up the Flynn case, they screwed up the FISA court case, and they screwed up the Hillary case. I mean, Leslie, listen, I get it. You know, a lot of liberals believe in big government. But if you're going to, I don't, but if you're going to believe in big government, you also have to believe in accountable big government. They don't live in a separate world, you know. They live in the same world of consequences every American who works in the private sector does. He screwed up and he lost his job for it. And it's as simple as that.
All right, Dan, let me ask you this. And you were in law enforcement. Do you think in the end that these people are going to start testifying against each other? Because honestly, I think McCabe has to be indicted. I don't think it's a question of wanting him to or not wanting him to. But if Martha Stewart gets indicted for lying to the FBI and General Michael Flynn is a felon for lying to the FBI about something that's not even criminal, McCabe has got to be indicted too.
Judge, where there's a lot of these guys and women here in this are in a world of trouble is going to be the leaks. There were some very suspicious leaks to David Ignatius of the Washington Post back in January, right before the Flynn case started. These are criminal charges, releasing sensitive, transcribed, unmasked information to reporters. There's a lot of this going around. And one more thing. That Flynn interview, remember, those agents in that interview were pretty convinced Flynn was being truthful. What do those 302s say? Those summaries of the interview. And were those 302s changed? This is serious stuff. I think a lot.
All right.
Pensions are the last thing they have to worry about.
All right, I want to get to Leslie. I mean, what do you think about that, Leslie? I mean, Flynn, I mean, even people in the FBI think that, what he said was not intended to be a lie.
Quite frankly, I'm not looking at the information that Robert Mueller is, and he's the guy that has the power. I don't. And I trust actually him, and I trust what he's doing, and I say, let this investigation play out.
So, but
period.
if Mueller got rid of Strzok, okay, because he was that bad to not be on Mueller's team, which is pro-Hillary based on all their contributions, the fact that Mueller got rid of him tells me he's in deep, deep trouble.
I don't agree with that necessarily. And by the way, I just want to say and go on the record, even if there is collusion and proof of that and obstruction of justice, the Republican Congress won't impeach this guy. They don't have the guts. They don't have the backbone.
Well, or maybe there isn't a basis. Dan Bongino, Leslie Marshall, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Judge.
And go